Christmas morning arrived quietly in Oak Ridge. No snow, no bells, just cold air, gray skies, and a silence that felt heavier than usual, like the city itself was holding its breath. Malik Johnson stood at the bus stop with a small paper bag in his hands, the corners creased from gripping it too tightly. Inside were 2 gifts. Nothing fancy. A second-hand toy car wrapped in red paper. A knitted scarf his mother had made before arthritis stole her hands. He checked his phone. 9:12 a.m. He was already late. Malik exhaled slowly, watching his breath vanish into the air. He told himself to calm down. Christmas was supposed to be peaceful. His little sister Aaliyah had been counting the days, taping construction paper ornaments to the walls of their tiny apartment. She believed in Christmas with her whole heart. The magic, the goodness, the idea that people were kinder on this one day. Malik believed in responsibilities. He worked 2 jobs. One at a warehouse overnight. One delivering groceries during the day. No days off. No holidays. Christmas was just another shift, except this year, he'd promised to make it home early. He wanted to be there when Aaliyah opened her gift. The bus was late. Again. A police cruiser rolled slowly past the stop, tires crunching over gravel. Malik didn't look up. He'd learned a long time ago that eye contact could be misunderstood. That stillness was safer than curiosity. But the cruiser slowed, then stopped. The door opened. "Hey, you." Black jacket. Malik felt it before he turned. The familiar tightening in his chest, the quiet calculation that came instinctively now. Hands visible. Voice calm. No sudden movements. "Yes, officer?" he said, keeping his tone respectful. Officer Daniel Crow stepped out of the car. Mid-40s. Clean uniform. Blue eyes sharp with something Malik couldn't quite place. Irritation, maybe. Or boredom. The kind of boredom that looked for trouble just to feel alive. "What's in the bag?" Crow asked. "Gifts. For my sister. It's Christmas." Crow glanced at the bag, then at Malik's face, then back at the bag again. "Mind if I take a look?" Malik hesitated for half a second. That was all it took. Crow's jaw tightened. "Why the pause?" he said. "You got something to hide?" "No, sir," Malik replied quickly. "I just..." "Hands where I can see them." Malik raised his hands. People at the bus stop shifted uncomfortably. A woman clutched her purse tighter. A man stared at his phone, pretending not to see. Crow reached for the bag and rummaged through it, pulling out the toy car, then the scarf. He frowned. "That's it." "Yes, sir." Crow studied Malik longer this time. Too long. Like he was searching for a reason, any reason, to justify what he already wanted to do. "You live around here?" Crow asked. "Yes." "Where?" "Maple Heights Apartments." Crow's eyebrow lifted slightly. "Of course." Malik recognized that look. The silent judgment. The assumptions that came with a zip code. "You got ID?" "Yes, sir." Malik slowly reached into his pocket and handed it over. Crow scanned it, then looked up again. "Ever been arrested, Malik?" "No, sir." Crow smiled. It wasn't friendly. "Funny thing," he said. "Everyone says that." Malik felt the cold seep deeper into his bones. "I haven't done anything wrong," he said carefully. "I'm just waiting for the bus." Crow stepped closer. "See, that's the problem," he said quietly. "You people always think you haven't done anything wrong." The words landed like a slap. Malik froze. The world narrowed to the sound of his own heartbeat. Crow straightened up, voice suddenly louder. "I'm going to need you to step away from the bus stop." "Why?" "Because I said so." Aaliyah's face flashed in Malik's mind. Her smile. The way she hugged him every time he came home, like she was afraid he might disappear if she let go. He swallowed. "Officer, it's Christmas. I just want to get home." Crow's eyes hardened. "That attitude," he said. "That right there. You think the rules don't apply to you." "I didn't say that." Crow reached for his radio. "Dispatch, I've got a suspicious individual refusing to comply." The lie hit Malik harder than the cold. "I'm not refusing," Malik said. "I'm standing right here." Crow stepped closer again. "Too close. Turn around. Hands on your head." Malik hesitated. Not because he was guilty, because he knew how quickly things could go wrong. That hesitation sealed it. Crow grabbed Malik's arm and twisted it behind his back. Pain shot through Malik's shoulder. "Stop resisting," Crow barked. "I'm not resisting," Malik cried out. The bus arrived then. Its doors hissed open. No one got off. No one got on. Everyone watched. Crow shoved Malik against the side of the cruiser, metal cold against his cheek. Malik tasted blood. "This is what happens," Crow said through clenched teeth, "when you don't listen." Something inside Malik snapped, not into anger, but into clarity. He realized something terrifying and simple. This man had already decided who Malik was. And nothing Malik said would change that. Crow reached for his cuffs. And that was the moment fate shifted. Because across the street, a woman dropped her coffee. Because a camera was already recording. Because Christmas has a way of exposing truth. And because Officer Daniel Crow had just made the biggest mistake of his career. He had picked the wrong man. The first siren arrived before Malik could catch his breath. Red and blue lights washed over the street, turning Christmas morning into something unreal, like a nightmare wrapped in holiday colors. Crow shoved Malik harder against the cruiser as if the sound of backup validated everything he'd done so far. "Stay still," Crow snapped. "I am still," Malik said, voice strained. His cheek pressed against the cold metal, his shoulders screaming in protest. He could feel his pulse in his ears, fast, uneven, panicked, but he forced himself to breathe slowly. His mother's voice echoed in his head from years ago, calm but firm. "Don't give them a reason, baby. Don't ever give them a reason." Crow tightened his grip anyway. Across the street, the woman who dropped her coffee stood frozen, phone raised, recording with trembling hands. She wasn't trying to be brave. She was scared. Scared enough to know that if she looked away, something worse might happen. The second cruiser screeched to a stop. Then a third. Officers spilled out, boots heavy on the pavement, radios crackling. The small crowd at the bus stop grew. People who'd been driving past slowed down, then stopped altogether. Traffic backed up. Someone honked. Someone shouted, "Hey, it's Christmas!" Crow ignored them all. "What's the situation?" a younger officer asked as he approached. Crow didn't hesitate. Suspect was loitering. Refused a lawful order. Became aggressive. Malik's stomach dropped. "That's not true," he said, turning his head slightly. "I didn't." Crow slammed Malik's head back against the cruiser. "Quiet." The sound echoed. A sharp, hollow thud that made the crowd gasp. "Hey!" someone yelled. "You don't gotta do all that." Crow turned toward the voice, eyes blazing. "Step back. This is a police matter." The younger officer hesitated, uncertainty flickering across his face as he looked between Malik and Crow. "Sir, do we have—" "I said he was aggressive," Crow cut in. "You questioning me?" "No, sir." Malik closed his eyes. He knew this moment. He'd seen it on the news. Read about it. The second where the story gets written before the truth ever has a chance to speak. Crow snapped the cuffs around Malik's wrists, too tight, metal biting into skin. "There," Crow said, satisfied. "Now we can talk." Malik winced but didn't cry out. He refused to give Crow that satisfaction. "What was he doing?" another officer asked. "Possible theft," Crow replied smoothly. "Bag of suspicious items. Could be casing the area." Malik's heart pounded. "That bag has my sister's gift," he said. "You already looked in it." Crow leaned in close, his breath hot against Malik's ear. "Nobody asked you." Then he raised his voice for the others. "He matches the description from earlier this week." "Description of what?" the younger officer asked again. Crow paused. Just a fraction of a second. "Male suspect. Black. Late 20s. The lie was clumsy. Lazy. But it didn't matter. Because the system didn't require precision. Only confidence. The crowd murmured angrily now. "That's messed up," someone said. "You can't just do that." Crow spun around. "Disperse, or I'll start making arrests." Silence followed. Fear always did its job. Malik was lifted off his feet and shoved into the back of the cruiser. The door slammed shut, sealing him inside a cage of glass and plastic. His breath fogged the window as he pressed his cuffed hands against his knees, trying to ground himself. Through the window, he could still see the woman recording. She didn't stop. Good, Malik thought. Please don't stop. The cruiser lurched forward. As they pulled away, Malik caught a glimpse of the bus still sitting at the stop, doors open, empty. The driver stared after the police cars, jaw tight, eyes dark with something like regret. Malik felt tears sting his eyes for the first time. Not for himself. For Aaliyah. The precinct smelled like disinfectant and stale coffee. Malik was marched down a hallway lined with flickering fluorescent lights, past bulletin boards covered in faded flyers about community outreach and holiday food drives. The irony made his chest ache. They sat him in a small interrogation room and uncuffed him, only to bolt one cuff to the table, the other still biting into his wrist. Crow closed the door behind him. The room went quiet. "Well," Crow said, taking his time pulling out a chair. "This could have gone a lot smoother." Malik stared at the tabletop, jaw clenched. "You want to explain why you were acting suspicious?" Crow asked. "I wasn't." Crow scoffed. "Standing around. Nervous. Carrying a bag. You know how that looks." "It looks like a man waiting for a bus," Malik replied, lifting his eyes. Crow's face darkened. "Careful," he warned. "You're already on thin ice. I haven't done anything wrong." Crow leaned back, crossing his arms. "That's not for you to decide." Malik swallowed hard. "Can I call my family?" Crow laughed. After processing. "Can I call a lawyer?" The laughter stopped. Crow leaned forward again, hands flat on the table. "You start throwing around words like that, this becomes a lot more complicated for you." Malik felt anger rise, hot and sharp, but he forced it down. "I just want to go home," he said quietly. "It's Christmas." Crow's eyes flickered for just a moment, then hardened again. "You should have thought about that before causing trouble." Crow stood and walked toward the door. "We'll see how cooperative you are after you cool off in a cell." The door shut behind him with a heavy click. Malik was alone. Minutes passed. Or maybe hours. Time blurred, stretching and twisting in the sterile quiet. Malik stared at the wall, replaying the morning over and over, searching for the moment he could have changed something. If I'd smiled more. If I'd spoken less. If I'd just looked down. A knock broke the silence. The door opened. It wasn't Crow. It was the younger officer, the one who'd hesitated. He stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. "Hey," he said. "I'm Officer Reyes." Malik looked up. guarded. I wanted to check on you, Reyes continued. You okay? Malik studied his face, searching for the trap. Am I supposed to be? Reyes winced. Look, I don't make the calls. But I saw what happened out there. And Reyes hesitated. And it didn't look right. Hope flickered. Dangerous and fragile. I told the truth, Malik said. That's all I've done since this started. Reyes nodded slowly. There's a lot of noise right now. Crowd videos. Calls coming in. Malik's heart skipped. Videos. Yeah, Reyes said. Christmas morning. People were already on edge. That woman across the street? Her videos spreading. Malik felt a rush of dizzy relief. Someone saw. Someone recorded. Reyes leaned in slightly. Just hang tight, okay? Before Malik could respond, the door opened again. Crow stood there. His face was tight, jaw clenched, eyes burning. Reyes, he snapped. Out. Reyes glanced at Malik once more, an apologetic look, then left. Crow shut the door slowly. You're causing a problem, Crow said quietly. I didn't do anything, Malik replied. Crow stepped closer. You don't get it. People like you? You make everything harder. Malik met his gaze, something steady rising inside him now. No, he said. You did. Crow's face twisted with rage. You think a video changes anything? He hissed. You think people will care in a week? Malik thought of Aaliyah again. Of Christmas lights taped to cracked walls. Of hope that refused to die even when it should. I think the truth matters, Malik said. Crow stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned and walked out without another word. The door slammed shut. And somewhere beyond those walls, the video kept spreading. By noon, hashtags were forming. By afternoon, reporters were calling. By nightfall, the lie that started at a bus stop was cracking under the weight of daylight. And Malik Johnson, still sitting alone in a cold room on Christmas Day, had no idea that the world was about to learn his name. The first reporter arrived before Malik was fingerprinted. No one told him that, of course. Malik only knew something had shifted because the energy inside the precinct changed. The casual confidence. The easy laughter. The certainty that whatever happened inside these walls stayed inside them. That certainty was gone. Phones rang non-stop now. Voices were lower. Doors closed more often. And Officer Daniel Crow hadn't come back. Malik sat on a metal bench in a holding area, cuffs removed but freedom still far away. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, each second pressing into him like a reminder that Christmas was slipping through his fingers. He imagined Aaliyah sitting on the floor of their apartment, eyes fixed on the door, waiting, asking their aunt when he'd be home, trying not to cry because Malik had promised. His chest tightened. A guard finally approached. Johnson. Malik stood. You're being moved, the guard said, avoiding eye contact. Moved where? Interview room B. This one was bigger. 2 chairs. A table. A camera mounted high in the corner, its red light glowing. Malik's stomach dropped. The door opened. A woman stepped in first. Early 40s. Sharp suit. Calm eyes. Behind her came a man Malik recognized instantly, even though he'd only seen him on TV. Attorney Samuel Brooks. Civil rights lawyer. The one who always spoke quietly but made entire departments sweat. Malik froze. Brooks smiled gently. Malik Johnson? Yes, sir. I'm Samuel Brooks. This is my associate, Lena Park. The woman nodded. Nice to meet you, Malik. Malik's voice came out unsteady. Why are you here? Brooks pulled out a chair and sat. Because someone sent us a video this morning. Malik swallowed. The bus stop. Yes. Lena slid a tablet across the table. On the screen, Malik watched himself from across the street. Come. Still. Polite. He watched Crow escalate, shove, strike. He watched the lie form in real time. Malik looked away. I didn't know anyone called you, he said quietly. They didn't, Brooks replied. We saw it online. Malik blinked. Online. Lena nodded. It's everywhere. Brooks leaned forward. Malik, do you understand why this matters? Malik thought for a moment. Because he lied. Brooks smiled sadly. Because the whole country saw him lie. Before Malik could respond, the door swung open. Officer Reyes stepped in, followed by a supervisor Malik hadn't seen before, Captain Elaine Morris. Captain Morris had silver hair pulled back tight and eyes that missed nothing. Mr. Brooks, she said coolly, you weren't cleared to be here. Brooks stood smoothly. My client requested counsel. Malik's head snapped up. Client. Morris turned to Malik. Is that true? Malik nodded. Yes, ma'am. Morris's jaw tightened. Very well. She turned back to Brooks. This department is conducting an internal review. Brooks met her gaze evenly. Then you won't mind us conducting our own. Silence stretched. Morris exhaled sharply. Officer Crow is being placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Malik's heart raced. Brooks didn't smile. Good. And Malik? Yes. He's being released, Morris said flatly. Malik stared at her. Released? Yes, she continued. No charges will be filed. The words barely registered. I can go home? Yes, Morris said. But I suggest you keep a low profile. Brooks laughed softly. With respect, Captain, that ship has sailed. Morris shot him a look, then turned and left. Reyes lingered for a moment. I'm sorry, he said quietly to Malik. For what it's worth. I'm glad people saw. Malik nodded, unable to speak. The door closed. Malik sat there, stunned. Brooks placed a hand on the table. Malik, there's something else you need to know. Malik braced himself. The video was only the beginning, Brooks said. We obtained body cam footage. Malik's breath caught. And? He asked. Brooks tapped the tablet. On the screen, Crow's body cam played. Malik watched Crow narrate lies into the radio. Watched him exaggerate. Watched him smirk when he thought no one was watching. Then came the part that made Malik's blood run cold. Crow leaned into the camera and muttered, barely audible but unmistakable. Another one who thinks Christmas makes him special. Malik closed his eyes. That footage is damning, Lena said. But there's more. Brooks's voice lowered. We did some digging, Malik. Into what? Into you. Malik stiffened. I don't have a record. We know, Brooks said gently. That's the point. He slid another document across the table. It was a commendation. From the city. For bravery. Brooks grabbed Malik's arm. That, he said, voice tight, was not supposed to happen. Across the room, Crow was smiling. Not nervous. Not afraid. Smiling. And in that moment, Malik realized something chilling. The fight wasn't just in the courtroom anymore. And whatever had just come to light, someone powerful was trying to stop it from being heard. No one slept that night. Not Malik. Not the city. Not the people whose screens still glowed with his face long after midnight. By morning, the truth finally surfaced. The clerk who had interrupted the court hadn't come alone. She'd brought documents, sealed records that were never meant to see daylight, internal emails, quiet transfers, complaints rerouted, buried, erased, names crossed out, dates altered, and at the center of it all was Officer Daniel Crowe. But he wasn't alone. The investigation revealed something far uglier than one man with a badge and prejudice in his heart. It revealed supervisors who signed off, union reps who intervened, city attorneys who settled cases just before they went public, a system that knew exactly who Crowe was and protected him anyway. For years, Malik sat with Brooks as the evidence spread across the table like broken glass. "They knew," Malik said quietly. Brooks nodded. "They always do." The judge reconvened court under emergency review. This time, no cameras were allowed inside. But the doors couldn't keep the truth out forever. Charges were expanded. Not reduced. Expanded. Civil rights conspiracy. Obstruction of justice. Abuse of authority. Crowe's smile disappeared. His attorney asked for time. Asked for reconsideration. Asked for mercy that had never been extended to the people Crowe had stopped, searched, shoved, humiliated. The judge denied it all. Outside, the crowd didn't chant this time. They stood in silence. Because sometimes silence is louder than any scream. Weeks passed. Malik returned to work. Slowly. Carefully. Strangers recognized him now. Some with gratitude, some with expectation, some with resentment. He learned how heavy visibility could be. Aaliyah asked fewer questions. She hugged him tighter. One evening, Malik stood alone at the same bus stop. Same cracked pavement. Same flickering streetlight. Different world. He held another paper bag. Inside, groceries this time. Ordinary things. Milk. Bread. Apples. A cruiser passed. It didn't stop. Malik let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. Behind him, a young man waited for the bus. Nervous. Hands stuffed deep in his pockets. Malik caught his eye and gave a small nod. Nothing heroic, nothing dramatic. Just "I see you." The bus arrived. They got on. Life moved forward. The trial date was set. Crowe now sat alone at the defense table, shoulders hunched, eyes hollow. The badge that once gave him power was locked away as evidence. Malik testified calmly. He told the truth. No embellishment. No hatred. Just facts. When asked what he wanted from the outcome, Malik paused. "I want my sister to grow up in a world where going home on Christmas doesn't feel like a risk," he said. The courtroom was silent. Even Crowe couldn't look up. Months later, as the verdict neared, Malik stood before a camera one last time. Not as a victim, not as a symbol, but as a man who had been forced into the light. "I didn't become brave that day," he said. "I was already brave. I just didn't know the world was watching." He looked straight into the lens. This isn't just about one officer. It's about what we allow, what we excuse, what we ignore. He took a breath. "Justice isn't automatic," Malik said. "It's chosen." The screen faded to black. The verdict had not yet been read. The sentence not yet spoken. The future not yet written. And that's where the story leaves us. Because the question isn't only what happened to Officer Crowe. The real question is this. When you see injustice happening right in front of you, will you look away? Or will you choose to be the reason the truth is finally seen? What would you have done that Christmas morning?